Welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. We are a week away from training camp, 8 days away from the Eagles taking the field, and we got a Tuesday edition of Birds 365 here. Another 2 hours of power as we prep for the 2025 season. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Tuesday morning, brother?
Doing well. Limping to the off-season finish line, but thanks to Jeremy Fowler for getting us there. As predicted. The forest was set on fire yesterday. Disrespect season is going out like a lion. Disrespect, Zander.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. Whatever. I mean, I should have known.
And by the way, it's not Jeremy. He's just
no, it's not. Yeah, I'm not mad about Jeremy at all. But yeah, he's just the guy that put it out there. So he got
the timing of it was the timing of it was perfect.
And now, John, every sports show in the country is talking about the disrespect of
disrespect.
How disrespectful is it in your eyes, John? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are like, this is egregious. It's it's not where I would rank them at all.
It's not where I would rank them either. But I like I said, there's one guy ahead of them that I'm pretty concrete on, and that's Jared Goff. He should be ahead of Jared Goff. And then I think he should be ahead of Matthew Stafford. You can certainly make arguments that he could be ahead of Justin Herbert, could be ahead of Jaden Daniels because Jaden's only done it for 1 year. So you can make all those arguments. The top four is as concrete as it's ever been in the NFL that I can remember. And again, from my perspective, like the disrespect talk, I find that silly. And, maybe that's because I know how well respected Jalen Hurts is inside sort of the football industry. Like nobody disrespects the guy. Everybody loves the guy. It's the exact opposite. So, that I tend to just tune out right away. Because I firmly don't believe it. And then, like I said, I said yesterday on the show, and I think this is important, and I'll continue to say it. I think when it comes, because, Jeremy's polling coaches, executives, and scouts, and I always say I trust the scouts more when it comes to personnel because they have less political, stuff. And not that they're right, but I just trust them more, especially. And then you develop. I talked about 8 or 10 guys, as I mentioned yesterday. And you develop a trust in them because they give you good information. They're generally right. And so that's, inside baseball. That's how I do it. But, coaches and execs, they have more political footballs they got to deal with. And the part of executives specifically, and to a certain degree, coaches as well, but executives even more so. Those guys, again, very few people want to play the way the Eagles play in the NFL right now. And I'm talking about system, scheme, that type of thing. They don't want to be run first. They don't want to throw the football 360 times. They don't think that's the best way to win. Just because the Eagles were able to be an outlier and zig when everybody zagged and got it done. We talk about that margin of error all the time. They don't want to play that way. So their thought process is skewed towards win from the pocket first, and then the off-schedule stuff is sort of the
secondary.
Yeah, frosting on the cake, so to speak. And that's why I've never seen a more concrete top four in my life and around the NFL. You always have debates. Should this guy be there? It's like everybody's got the same four names. And then there's debate over who should be one amongst that group, who should be two, who should be that. There's debate with that. But it's like when we talk about the draft, how many blue chip players are? There's tier one, there's tier two. Right. That's tier one, and then it's up. And he's in the conversation to be number 5. And you can make a strong argument he should be number 5. Now, from my perspective, I don't think, ironically, because he won the Super Bowl, and that's where the evaluation breaks down. Like, it's not his best season. Like, you had a stronger argument to me coming off 2023 because he was asked to do more, and I think he did do more. And I think his play was greatly underestimated in 2023. And I'm not the only one. I know that because I was looking at PFF yesterday. They had him in 2022 when he's runner-up to MVP. Clearly, deservedly of that. It's not an honor, but deservedly of that position. He was ranked 4th of 39 quarterbacks in 2022, and that's by far his best season. In 2023, which the collapse and all that skews it, he was 8th of 38. He was damn good. In 2024, he was 12th of 42. And that, by the way, is aided because that's a postseason number. That's aided by the NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl. If you go back to just the regular season, he's 15th. Like, what, not even close to being his best season. And by the way, he was 14th in his first year as a starter in 2021, which is still darn good for a first-year starter, well above average. So to me, yeah, the whole thing is skewed. It's always been skewed, quarterback evaluation. By no means is it disrespectful. But, I mean, if you win the Super Bowl, it's going to skew stuff. That's just the way.
Now, there's only one guy on that list that wasn't a first-round draft pick. When you interview scouts, GMs, these are guys that they do have egos, they do want to be right, and they did pass on the player in round 1. Do you think that has anything to do with the ranking where they just kind of – you remember how we talked about Jordan Mailata? And I know it's a little bit of a different scenario, but no Pro Bowls for Jordan Mailata? Like, that's crazy, but it's the pedigree thing that's held him down. Maybe he got over that hump now. Do you think any of that exists with Jalen Hurts being a second-round pick and a guy who really wasn't supposed to be a franchise-altering quarterback?
No. Certainly, I don't think anybody cares from that standpoint. Now, where that factors in, and you talk about Jordan Mailata, like, well, I just brought up PFF. Well, they graded Jordan Mailata as the best player in football. Yeah. That's real when it comes to contracts because you have money guys trying to take advantage of the situation.
I don't think it's real when it comes to PFF, but is it real when it comes to Jeremy Fowler polling scouts and GMs? That's my question.
No, I don't think at all, especially scouts. Like, they don't give a shit.
Well,
everybody's, first of all, they're not responsible. It's not like they go in and say, draft Jordan Mailata in the 7th round. That's Howie's decision. They give their evaluation of a particular player.
Yeah, but they don't like to be wrong.
Well,
nobody likes to be wrong.
Nobody likes to be wrong, but they have far less ego because they don't need it because they're not in a public facing position. Like, very few people know who the Eagles scouts are. Very few people. They don't have to worry about what Howie has to worry about. They don't have to worry about what Nick has to worry about. That factors in more with them. Scouts are like doing their job. You got guys pounding the table. The Eagles showed their unscripted, their passion meeting for the first time is how he calls it, where the scouts get to speak up about day 3 players they like. And you heard guys talking just wonderful things about Kyle McCord and Miles Hinton, and ultimately, if they develop into something, and there were others as well, but ultimately, if they develop into something, yeah, I'm sure they'll feel proud about it, but it's not their decision to make. That in the Eagles case, it's Howie's decision to make. So, yeah, I don't. No, I don't think that factors in at all, other than especially with the lower level personnel guys who are just trying to evaluate the traits that may turn them into stars down the road, because I think that's what's lost with the draft process to many fans is you either draft a good player or you draft a bad player. Development's a big part of it. So many things have to go correct, starting with Jalen Hurts himself and his work ethic and his willingness and want, more importantly, to get better and better and better. So it's not like the guy who said, it's probably Jeffrey Lurie, to be honest, who said we should draft Jalen Hurts. It's not like that guy made the right decision at that moment. Like if Jalen Hurts came in here with a bad work ethic and he didn't work his ass off to improve each and every year and each and every week and each and every off season, it wouldn't have worked. But other than everybody likes to be right, to your point, which will be true till the end of time. No, I don't think that factors into it.
Interesting thing that he's down at 9. I think all the guys in front of him below the top 4 are egregious. If you want to put him 5, that's fine by me. But I don't know. I mean, Jaden Daniels, 1 year wonder.
I mean, yeah, we all throw it out.
Justin Herbert. I mean, come on, man. I don't know. In my estimation, there's more things.
Egregious. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's a big word. That's like, yeah,
Justin Herbert, John. What the fuck has Justin Herbert done other than look good? Other than look pretty in the pocket? Like I think there's more than meets the eye when it comes to the quarterback position. I don't think it's all about talent. I really don't. I think talent's a huge part of it, but there's a lot of things off the field you need to be a great quarterback. Jalen has all of them. He's not a stat-driven quarterback. He's not a flashy quarterback, and I think people hold that against him, and I don't think it should be. I think some of the things he does that are less quantifiable are part of what makes him great, and people like this leave out that part of the evaluation, and that's why you have guys like Justin Herbert.
That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy to bring up of this group. I mean, that guy's phenomenal. I'll look up his. He was 4th last year. His grade was over 90. The only people he was behind were Lamar, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. That's it.
You're a big Herbert guy. I'm not a big Herbert guy.
Well, I mean, that's just
I think he's pretty overrated.
That's bias in the other direction. I mean, that guy, a blind person could see this guy's a good quarterback.
Yeah, but being a good quarterback doesn't. I mean, he's a good quarterback. There's no doubt about it. His traits are amazing, but he's not a big game player. He's been really, really bad performances in 2 playoff games. They've had really good rosters. I mean, in LA.
No, they haven't.
Yes, they have.
They have back in Marty Schottenheimer days.
They had good. There was one offseason in recent years, John, where everybody was like, "Whoa, watch out for the Chargers! Look at their defense. Look at what they've done in LA."
That's not representative of anything. People saying about people's off seasons. I mean, there was a time when the
4 picks. That doesn't matter for anything.
There was a time when the Chargers, when Marty was there and they were winning 12, 13 games and everybody, that's the most talented team in football. And Marty got a lot of shit because he didn't win. He was a great coach, but he didn't win. And that's just the nature of the position. But I mean, there's guys like Jared, he's like the last guy of the group that's on the list.
I know you like him above the other ones more.
Well, these are the exact same things I heard about Matthew Stafford in Detroit until he got to prove with a better supporting cast.
That's fair. I give you that. I can give you that. But Matthew Stafford never had a 4-pick playoff game and got him out of the playoffs. That was egregious. I mean, the guy's got 2 playoff games, John. He's got 50% completions in 2 playoff games. I mean, the guy doesn't show up when you need him to show up. Doesn't that count for something?
There's 2 things I recommend when it comes to personnel evaluation. Because everybody gets knocked on their ass, as I always point out. Brought up Jared Verse knocking Mekhi Becton on his ass. Don't scout highlights. Don't scout lowlights. And if you do,
that's fair. But
if you do take somebody's worst moment, you're probably going to be wrong. And if you take their best moment, you're probably going to be wrong. Now, I'm not saying it. In fact, actually, I would recommend don't watch highlights at all. I recommend watching lowlights and saying, well, all right, what went wrong here? What's going on? And believe me, I'm sure the Chargers have done that. I don't cover the team. I'm sure they've done that. I'm sure there's context to those interceptions. I'm sure Justin was a big part of it. I'm sure there were other big parts of it. I remember the game. I don't remember it that distinctly. Obviously, I didn't cover the game. I mean, from every quarterback from Tom Brady on down, they have shitty moments. You saw Patrick Mahomes in the biggest game.
No,
he
I'm not
looked
saying
like garbage.
Well, I do agree with your premise of like if you're going to evaluate on highlights and lowlights, you're probably going to be off, and I get that, but that's where it kind of ties into I think there's more than just talent that you need at that position.
Well,
I mean, Tom Brady, that's how he made his head. Now, I'm not saying Tom Brady didn't have talent. I'm just saying what made Tom Brady 7 Super Bowls? Was it the talent? Or was it all the things coupled with his talent that got him that far?
Well,
look at a guy like Aaron, who had more talent probably, but didn't have some of the other things, to get him that far.
Well, I find it interesting that everybody made a big thing, and I knew they would, of Nick's comments defending Jalen Hurts. And that's bullshit comments. I knew everybody would, but I think it's ironic that everybody ignores the context of the answer, which is, again, arguing both sides of what you just asked. Nobody wins without good players around them. Nobody. So if you're using that as a criticism of Jalen Hurts, it's stupid. It's bullshit, as Nick said. But if you're using it to prop him up, it's also de facto bullshit, because you're ignoring the talent around him. And that's why it's so difficult to evaluate quarterbacks, because they're not in a vacuum. And that's why nobody criticizing Patrick Mahomes. I got to tell you, that's the worst games, one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen. To the point, I'm lower on the Kansas City Chiefs than most people coming into the season, because admittedly are breaking my own rule. And that was such a bad performance. I'm like, well, this is a descending team, rather than the Eagles just beat the brakes off them because they didn't have an offensive line that could block their defensive front, which is the more likely explanation. And as I get further away from the game, I've come off that. But Patrick Mahomes, who nobody's going to criticize, nobody should criticize, by the way, was abject garbage in that game. Abject garbage from a quarterback playing perspective. And that's one of the best quarterbacks who's ever lived, with all the accolades, MVPs, Super Bowls, all of it. And he played like garbage for one 60-minute span in February. Why don't people see that side of it and say, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm weighting this too heavily. This guy's demonstrated performance over a pretty significant sample size says he's pretty damn good. That's all I'm trying to say.
It's an interesting conversation. I don't know. When you rank all these guys above Jalen, it makes me think I'd take those guys above Jalen. And I don't know if there's any of them I would take above Jalen.
Well, if you are building, not like if you're another team
from scratch,
yes. If you're another team and you have a foundation and you want to play a specific way, and you want to be a high volume throwing team, and you want to be 11 personnel all the time and spread the field, why would you take Jalen over some of these other guys?
Well, I mean, if you wanted to build that offense, you probably wouldn't take them first. I understand that. But why are we so convinced that that's the best way to build? I mean, if you look at the recent Super Bowl winners, Jalen's the one who had the best roster and won. Yes. Mahomes is kind of the only one who didn't have the great roster and still won. I think that's what
he had a
separates
great
him.
roster. He didn't have great skill position players after.
Yeah,
but he had a great roster. He had Chris Jones. He had that defense. He had Travis Kelce.
Well, outside of Chris Jones, I mean, you know, I don't think he had a stacked roster to the gills. I mean, he had the good cornerback. He's got Chris Jones, but everywhere else, they've had a lot of moving parts on that team. They've lost a lot of good players. They got rid of Tyreek Hill. They got rid of Jerry Sneed. They got rid of a lot of good players, John. I mean, they've been a kind of a revolving door over there.
Well,
Mahomes has kept them in the dance. Remember, after they beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl and they went back and repeated, everybody in the middle of the year, they were like, whoa, what's going on with the Chiefs? They weren't very good.
Well, everybody, you know, because everybody's hyper-focused on skill positions. And, yeah, they took a step back after Tyreek Hill from a skill position standpoint. And something they still haven't recovered from. And remember, they lost, you know, Rashee Rice because of issues off the field. They lost Xavier Worthy. Who knows? Maybe it would have been better if they had those guys. But injuries and other problems are a part of it, are always a part of it. And they deserve credit for build, but they have a lot of good players, the Chiefs. Again, that's the Nick point. Like people putting on like Patrick Mahomes won without good players. That's just not true.
No, I'm not saying he won without good players. I'm saying he didn't have a stat. Jalen had a better roster than Patrick Mahomes. You agree?
Oh, last year, yeah. Well, yeah, obviously. I mean,
and what about who had a better roster last year, Lamar or Mahomes in the last 3 years? 1 year.
Probably Baltimore. Yeah, probably Baltimore. But
so that's where I think Mahomes differentiates himself a little bit in that he's the one guy that you could argue, oh, that roster wasn't stacked to the gills. Now, I don't think it was. You might think it was better than I did. I think it was good. I don't think it was this world-beating roster like the Eagles roster is. I really don't.
Well, and I think the Eagles put together I think the Eagles put together one of the best rosters in the modern era of football.
Me too.
So I don't think that's necessarily a fair comparison compared to the original debate and that Nick brought up of nobody wins without good players. And there's a shitload of good players on Kansas City. To use the outlier and how he deserves credit for building that roster. And we all know some of the reasons it came to pass. But, you know, Jeremy just did his thing and everybody ignores all the other positions. Creed Humphrey was the #1 interior offensive lineman in football. Trey Smith was in the top 10. And this is their bad offensive line. Joe Thuney's been a long-time Pro Bowl player. Their issues are at tackle, which forced them to move Joe Thuney outside when they had to. Defensively, everybody was glazing Spagnuolo up to because of how good they've been defensively. Yes, losing players. But I mean, Trent McDuffie's one of the best cornerbacks in football.
Yeah,
still.
I agree with that.
Chris Jones is arguably the best interior defensive lineman still. And their pass rush, you know, Karlaftis and you know, they're not Trey Hendrickson, similar to the Eagles, but it was damn good. So no, were they the Eagles? No, you know, almost everybody thinks the Eagles have the best roster coming into training camp, which will start. You know, there's differentiating opinions. Some people might say Baltimore. There's a few other teams you can point to, but most people think the Eagles are the top roster in football. And think about what they lost. That's after what they lost. Milton Williams, you got $26 million on the open market.
Yeah,
Josh Sweat.
If you count to what the Chiefs, like you just said, well, shit, we got plenty of great players still too, and that's why they're the #1 roster. I mean, the Chiefs had a lot of holes, and that, yeah.
I'm not debating that. I'm debating most people think they still have the #1 roster, and they lost all those guys. So how good was it in February? Is my point.
Yeah.
Those guys were all there. Sweat and Williams and Slay and CJ.
Do you agree though it wouldn't have been the right move to try and run it back, so to speak?
Like the Sixers?
Please don't.
Well, it's not possible.
God, I'm already debating the Jalen Hurts rankings today. I don't need Sixers talk.
Well, I say that because Paul George got hurt, but I had to text my wife back. I apologize, but
you got to handle that. I'll take a break if you need me to.
No, she's at the car dealership. But anyway, yeah. What was your question? Sorry, I got distracted.
I was saying, what the heck did I just say?
Right. Yeah, I got distracted.
I don't even remember that. You got me distracted.
The Eagles had a freaking phenomenal roster last year. That's not an insult to Jalen Hurts. It's nothing to blame him for, but it's also not, as Nick Sirianni points out. And again, he said it to us, most recently, but he has said this in the past, and he has even asked us, point out, give him a team, because Nick's a football historian. Give him a team that you think won without good players, and he'll tell you all the good players. And he does.
Some quarterbacks have great players and don't win, can't get over the hump. That held against him at all?
Well, if you don't win, it's held against you. But,
that's where I think like Lamar deserves more knock than somebody else. Because I think Lamar's had a comparable roster to the Eagles in the last 5 years. I think the Ravens are one of the best organizations in football.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, everybody does. And he'll ultimately, he takes tons of hits for that. That's all they talk about. Oh, he can't win in the playoffs.
Well, he's still in the top 5.
I mean, for years, Peyton Manning took those same hits. And to me, that might surprise newer football fans because he's such a legend now. But he's only got one.
Would you take Herbert over Hurts? Herbert over Hurts, would you do it?
Yeah. I mean, sorry, people. I mean, I'm trying to when I say that, like I'm trying to put people in the vacuum that doesn't.
Yeah, exist. This is from scratch. I'm not just saying right here. I'm not saying plug them in right here. I know
the Eagles. No, for the Eagles, no. Perfect quarterback for the Eagles. Jalen, I take Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, me too.
For 31 other teams, you're just plugging them in. Justin Herbert's going to make, more of those 31 other teams a little bit better. Not that I wouldn't mind having Jalen. I don't think it's an insult at all. I know everybody's going to disagree with. I don't think it's an insult at all. They're both really good. But if you're pointing, and like your point about Lamar, well, he's always in the top 5. Yeah, he's always in the top 5 because he's that fucking good.
Yeah, everybody knows it. Well, John, what I appreciate about you is that when you explain something, you have the knowledge bank, the history, the explanation, and a real explanation that makes sense versus some people. I feel like it's a little bit of an aggregation type of thing, but I wouldn't have him at 9, John. I wouldn't. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'll stick to my word. Egregious, Johnny Mac.
I think that word's too. That word to me is very expressive, and maybe the other people isn't.
Sometimes you got to be bombastic in life, John.
And yeah, it's far from egregious. I actually agree with you, which people probably didn't. I'd have him ahead of Jared Goff, definitely. And then you can debate all the way up to number 5. I have no problem with people wanting to say he's better than Justin Herbert. If you're going to ask me personally, Matthew Stafford for many years, I would have had him over, and probably I thought more of Matthew Stafford when he was younger in Detroit, and everybody thought he stunk.
Yeah.
Than I do now, and I do think he is descending, and I put Jalen over him. So I have no problem.
Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, well, I think you know where I'm going there. So I don't want to upset people. But same explanation for the Eagles. No. I'd take Jalen Hurts. For the 31 other teams, I'd take Jaden Daniels.
You've made our resident Commander fan, James Jones, very happy this morning. He says, Jaden Daniels, baby.
Well, he's
James Jones, get out of here, James Jones. You're not
very
welcome
good player.
today.
But I've said it many times. I don't like quarterback evaluation in general. I don't like it. I think.
Do you think the fact that Jalen's not like a stat player, he's not a flashy guy like some of these, do you think that's held against him, or do you think that's just?
Well, it depends who you're talking to. Like, there is a whole group, and I just heard one of them, and I'm not going to say who it was, but I just heard one in town go down the road that I would say more people go down the road of, well, he won a Super Bowl, period, than try to explain the context of the position and what Nick Sirianni did about supporting cast and everybody needs a good.
Yeah, but back to my point, that's what I think you do much better than 99% of people who talk about this stuff.
But I'm only saying for you know, for some people, they ignore that side exists, and I think that side is much bigger, actually. So in a lot of ways, you can argue Jalen Hurts gets elevated because now, not the past, because now he just did it, because he won a Super Bowl. I would think that if you wanted to grab 100 people who love football, that elevates him with more of the 100 people than are going to argue, well, yeah, but he had the great supporting cast. I think that side is much bigger than the other side.
It's fair. Let me channel my inner Nick Sirianni. Bullshit. All right, good stuff though. Good conversation about the quarterbacks. I thought Jalen was a little low, but it did spark a football
Jeremy
media
Fowler, baby.
Yeah, baby. I mean, I went on Twitter yesterday. I'm like, oh my God. Well, this thing really spread around.
Great timing to hold the quarterbacks as we limp towards the finish line of the offseason. But guess what? They're back on the field. They got a great roster. Boy, that team was good last year.
It was good.
And Jalen Hurts is a big part of it. Not a criticism. In fact, I think the Eagles were unfair to. I'm sure that people don't listen. I think the Eagles were unfair to Jalen Hurts. Nobody hears that. I still think they were unfair to him.
Yeah, they hear it, but it's hard to hear fully because of the success that the team had. You know, so
yeah, exactly.
Like, well, right.
Winning, you know, it's a cliche for a reason. Winning solves everything. It does.
Yeah, right.
It does.
Well, I appreciate your consistency and the way you evaluate it with or without all of those things. Johnny Mac, we're moving in on our top 25. We'll move on from this. Well, wait. We got some super chats on this topic, so let me just get to them. Carlos checking in. What's up, Carlos? Chargers had the #1 scoring defense last year. I did think they had a better team, John, than you made them out to be. I didn't think they had a shitty team.
I said, first of all, I didn't say that. I said
you didn't say they were shitty, but I said they had a really good roster.
I said the Chargers. I was talking about his career as a whole. I said that Chargers are a team I'm very high on because Jim Harbaugh is a damn good coach, and he's generally got a shelf life. I've said this numerous times throughout the offseason. Yes, they're going to play more of that, for lack of a better term. I'd call it Harbaugh style, but you know, for people locally, Eagles style, where they're placing more emphasis on the running game and defense, which is their point. He's a very good coach, and they're getting better. And I've said it probably 5-6 times in the offseason for people who listen to this show. Everybody's high on Denver, and that's fine. I get why. Sean Payton, Bo Nix, people are excited. Well, I'm higher on the Chargers potentially upsetting the Chiefs if somebody is to do it in the AFC West. I've said that pretty consistently. Part of that is because they have gotten better under Jim Harbaugh, and they have a damn good quarterback. That's why I'm high on them.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs have gotten worse when it comes to that AFC West.
Well, the Eagles kind of broke me on the Chiefs. Like, yeah. I have to recalculate. because that was so dominant. I have to recalculate. Like, I'm probably being too high on the hard on the Chiefs because of one game, and that's a bad way to do it, as I just explained. So I have to recalculate that. But when you were there and I was there for that, that was fucking impressive.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
And so I'm a little bit broke on the Chiefs. I got to recalculate. They're probably better than I'm making it out to be. Not probably, definitely. But if there's one team I'm higher on the Chargers than the Broncos, which I think is probably more or higher on the Broncos, I'm higher on the Chargers. And it has to do, yes, it has to do with the quarterback, but it also has to do with the coach coaching the right way. Now, they have to take advantage of it because it's a short shelf life, because Jim Harbaugh's history is he's going to piss a bunch of people off and it's going to go down. So they have to take advantage of it pretty quickly.
Keep pissing them off, Jim. I love it. Kimberly Sirico says, J-Max said these lists come out in the offseason to create content. Spot on. They love to create drama. It's great content. Drama llamas. I like that. Drama llamas.
Well, I mean, this one's more realistic than a lot. Like, a lot of people just do their personal top. Like, I don't get, no offense to anybody doing it. It's fine. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I don't give a shit about somebody else's opinion. These are at least people in the industry, so I think it's more valuable. So that part, I don't think Jeremy's doing it for drama circumstances, but I mean, there's, reputation plays into it, all that kind of things. I remember
none of that's public. I don't know if there is any reputational damage that could come from something like this.
No, I'm not saying player wise. I'm saying, one of the
scouts,
things
for the scouts or the GMs or the execs. Yeah.
I don't think,
is it public anywhere who voted for what? I don't think so. Right.
No.
Yeah. So,
no, I don't mean it from that perspective, but I'm saying, like, Joe Mixon, I know, was top 10 in running backs, and that people are like, yeah, Joe Mixon, good player, top 10, it's been a good player. Well, he had a really bad year last year. So I think sometimes, at least, from the advanced stats and all that kind of stuff, yards after contract, that, pretty bad, near the bottom of the league. But, he's been good for a long time, and people say, all right, Joe Mixon, you get some of that. Like, it's because football moves quickly. And
it does. It really does move quick.
And everybody, great players are not great forever. And everybody starts, with descent. And sometimes it's hard to just default to, like, what players on the Eagles, Lane Johnson, I think, I'm not by any means, Lane is still playing at a very high level. But eventually, maybe Jason Peters is the better example. As he hung on and hung on and hung on and hung on, if Lane does that, hopefully he doesn't. Jason didn't, so who knows? There's going to be a descent. With Joe Mixon, I think it started, but he was still top 10. So anyway, I just use it.
Don't you think some of the guys the Eagles got rid of, though, were the biggest candidates potentially for a descent in the upcoming season? Slay, Sweat, Milton coming off such a high. I don't know if Milton would have been able to redo what he did last year.
Well, Milton's problem is his contract, because people are going to expect, people are going to expect him to be Jalen Carter.
Exactly, especially in New England.
To me, he's still going to be a really good player. I mean, he's the exact player you want to sign in free agency, coming off his rookie deal, still young, didn't play a lot early in his career, so there's not a ton of tread off his tire. Like, he's the exact type of player you want to sign in free agency. I would have loved to have that guy for any team in the NFL. Literally. I mean, he is the perfect free agent signing, except now he's got to live with those expectations. And unfortunately, that's part of it. Now, if New England is disciplined enough to say that's where the salary cap is going, that's just the cost of doing business, and they tune out the criticism because he's not going to be Jalen Carter, they'll be fine. But that's easier said than done. other guy, Slay's obviously, at his age, it can come at any time. And I have no issues with the Eagles moving on at this particular time, because I've said pretty consistently it's time to shit or get off the pot with Kaylee Ringo. I mean, if you go another year, you won't know if he's worth extending. And maybe he isn't worth extending, but that's sort of some of the gambles you have to take to be successful in the NFL. CJ, I mean, I know he can play. Is he going to be on the straight? I don't know. Is he going to blow things up? Is he? I don't know. All that to me is off the field stuff, and it's real. What he just got in trouble, not in trouble, but drama. Speaking of drama llamas,
he certainly
CJ's in more drama because there's his baby mama said this, and he just a nightmare to deal with.
Baby mama said this.
John,
you're kind of on fire this morning.
Well, I mean, it is. People say, "What does CJ have?" I mean, turn on Instagram, right, to explain why the Eagles moved on from CJ.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Josh Sweat, that's right in the, maybe he's really good. I don't maybe I think he's a really good player, and I think he's still got shelf life. I'd love to have him back on the Eagles. So those are the main guys. Who'd I miss?
That's really it. I think that's all of them. CJ, Slay.
Oh, Mackay. Mackay.
What about Sweat? Did you talk about Sweat?
Yeah, Sweat. I think he's a really good player. Mackay, I don't have any problem, simply because I think that knee is more problematic and Mackay doesn't want to talk about it. And Mackay's a really nice guy but if you bring up that knee, he gets surly and you start to go, wow, this guy's 6'8", 360. I better shut up.
Yeah, right.
Like, I think that's a bigger problem than,
which is also, it's also the reason you worry about the knee, because he's 6'8", 360.
Well,
Yeah.
So anyway, I think all the Eagles moves made sense. You can't pay Milton that money. You can't pay Josh that money where they are, what they have to pay down the road. But they lost some really good players. So both things could be true.
Good stuff there. Let's get to them. I'm going to thank my man, Chris AM, gives 10 memberships out to the channel. Chris, thank you, man. I appreciate it. You're always showing love here in JAKIB, and we appreciate you. We love you, brother. God bless you, and thank you so much for the support. For anybody who got a gifted membership, drop it in the comments so I can see who got the 10 gifted memberships from Chris AM. Chris, thank you for the support. Season's right around the corner, brother. Dank Bird Gang checks in. Member, look at this, John. Member for 24 months. Dank, that's major love. Thank you, bro. 24 months is a lot of time. 2 years. He says, I remember a time where people were mad Peyton was getting commercials and Brady wasn't, even though he's been winning Super Bowls.
I don't know, Dan.
Peyton is kind of the funny personality. I mean,
every
time a Peyton Manning commercial comes on, my dad's like cracking up, and I'm like, boy, people really do love Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Well, he hosted Saturday Night Live once. He was damn good.
Yeah.
He does have it. Like, I don't know if anybody cares about commercials. If they do, they shouldn't, but
well, I think it's part of like the allure of a player or an athlete. You know what I mean? It's part of the
Peyton's got a great personality.
He does.
I don't recall people having a big I don't recall there being a big groundswell of Tom should have more commercials than Peyton. I don't know. I just don't recall it.
That never crossed into Johnny Mac's.
I would say that's always going to be, if you have a personality like Peyton, if you could host Saturday Night Live credibly, you deserve your commercials. He hosted Saturday Night Live credibly. So
that's
I would
true.
say that.
Slagger says, I hate to say it, but Eli has good TV presence also. Yes, he does. Those Mannings are
well. That's funny. You bring up Eli. I remember Eli had a Citizen Watch commercial. This is one.
I remember that.
And the whole tagline was, because Citizen Watches never stop, they're unstoppable. And I chuckled out loud. I go, yeah, Eli's unstoppable. So I chuckled at that one, but it didn't. It didn't I wasn't upset by it. I just chuckled at it.
That is funny. Alexander Harris checking in. What's up, Alexander Harris? He says, just feels it's crazy for people to hold the fact that the Eagles have a good GM against Hurts. Like, what QB
I
doesn't
don't know who does
need a good
that.
team around?
That's my
There are people who do that.
Yeah,
I think.
but I'm not talking. Yes, I'm not talking
I mean,
about
even
other
Nick addressed it,
fans.
didn't he? He said, "Oh, the people who call him a caboose or along for the ride, it's bullshit." So it does happen. I'm not saying you do it, but it does happen.
I'm saying people, and that's why people inside the industry don't do it. Like fans, yeah. Grifters, yeah. God bless him. I love Dan Orlovsky, but he's the one telling you 1 week he's terrible, and the next week he's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You don't go from being terrible to being Tom Brady in a 4-week span. He's good. People in the industry know it, and I don't even think Dan believes that. But look, there's something, and you saw it. FS1 canceled a lot of their shows. If you don't generate viewers and eyes and all that kind of stuff, they're going to move on. So people do it to get, and people know, yes, people know the Eagles fan base is passionate and it's going to generate this talk. They know it. They love it. They want it. They crave it. So, beware. Sometimes you're being grifted, and some people are setting up segments. You do this, you say this,
right?
Battle it out.
I don't think we do that at all here on Birds 365.
We've never done it, not once that I know of.
No, I don't do it. Certainly not.
I've never. I first of all, I wouldn't agree to it, because I think that's my whole tagline with this show is elevate the conversation. I try to make people think about things and try to make people understand. Well, why is he ninth? I think I did a decent job.
I think you
not that it's right, but why would he land up ninth? That doesn't have to do what people just hate Jalen Hurts. Like I think a lot of people default to that, and I kind of I do. I like I'm watching an Eli Manning Citizen Watch Mirror. I kind of chuckle at that, and I chuckle at that because I know how well respected he is. Well, people around the league just hate and are, whatever, disrespect Jalen Hurts. Like, I don't think that's true, and I don't think it serves any audience to pretend it's true. If you know it isn't, and some people don't know it isn't. So I get that as well. But I've talked to enough people around this league to know that he's pretty damn well regarded. Listen to Steve Spagnuolo talk about him. Yeah. He did it publicly.
Steve, I think I saw a clip of Steve talking to Burrow in the quarterback show, something about you're the best guy except for our guy or something. That was an interesting comment. Carlos Morris checks in. What's up, Carlos? He says, no one called us a super team until we killed teams. That is true.
Well, I agree with that, but that's what happens. You can only objectively look at a team after it's done. Like the fact that if your point is you want everybody to bow down and say your favorite team is the greatest team that ever lived, most credible people aren't going to do that because they want to see what happens.
Yeah, it's
projection. There's a lot of things. And there's a lot of things that can go along the way. We talk ad nauseum about the final 2 Jalen Carter pass rushes. How does that change the season if Jalen Carter doesn't get home? How does that change your thought process? Do you think this is a super team if they lose to the Los Angeles Rams? Probably not. You're probably pissed off saying, how'd they lose to the Los Angeles Rams in the divisional round of the playoffs? But guess what? They persevered and they took off. And they had one of the most dominating Super Bowl performances of all time. I would argue, certainly, and I've argued, I don't think it's fair to compare pre-free agency teams to post-free agency. And that's why I say the modern era post-free agency, for me, it's one of the best 2 or 3 teams ever. Still think the Patriots that lost were the best team I've ever seen.
Yeah, they were crazy good. Yep.
But they're one of the best teams of the modern era.
That was crazy when they lost that Super Bowl. I'll never forget that. I was a young kid. I was at the Super
And
Bowl.
they still almost won with the heave. Moss almost got that.
I know. Carlos, thanks, man. Another one from Carlos. He says, Herbert equals Jay Cutler. Burrow equals Kirk Cousins. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah, well, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you're comparing, and by the way, I like Kirk Cousins more than most.
I like
Dude, that is a horrible comp. A horrible comp. Jay Cutler was actually supremely talented, but he was a head case. So from that's a bad comp. They're both horrible comps. But
I saw him.
The Burrow to Cousins one is particularly horrible. I mean, that's. By the way, you bring up that quarterback show. Did you see the clip of the Eagles' respect for Joe Burrow?
No, I didn't. I didn't watch the show yet. Did you watch the show? You said you liked the first season, didn't you?
The first season was great. I haven't watched it. I'll watch it eventually. I saw the clip online about when the Eagles were playing and they're all fighting to trade jerseys with Joe Burrow on the field, like they wanted his jersey after the game. I saw that. Yeah. Your own team's respect for Joe Burrow. You should note that before you start.
I saw this. Did you see this? Jay Cutler's now taking shit, I guess, for, I don't know, he shot some antelope in Florida or in Africa.
Yeah, he's a weird cat, man.
I don't know, he's hunting, or I don't know, he was hunting or something. I've never been bothered by hunters, but I do know there's a lot, big animal, a lot of
great. He had great, as they say, arm talent. You know who the best comparison? Jay Cutler and Jeff George are like the same person. Just phenomenal arm talent, but probably didn't have it upstairs. But boy, they could sling it, as they say.
Major thanks to all in the chat today for all the super chats. Hit that like button for us, guys. We appreciate you all being here. We're 1 week away from the Eagles reporting for training camp. How about it? So Rashid Mixon checks in. What's up, Rashid? One of our best viewers here. He's been here all offseason, Johnny Mac. Rashid says, none of them except for Matt Stafford can be argued above Hurts. I've seen Herbert with a great team, and the only thing that came out of it was 5,000 yards.
All right, let's try it this way, Rashid. Would you rather put the quarterbacks off to the side? Would you rather have the Eagles roster, your beloved Eagles, or the Chargers roster?
Certainly the Eagles. I mean, I'm pretty sure that would be a unanimous pick.
I'm pretty sure he'd say the Eagles. So,
Rashid, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm pretty sure you'd say the Eagles too.
Yeah. And again, when you say none of them except for Matt Stafford can be argued, any of them can be argued. They're all good players. Any of them. Just as Jalen, as I said, which again, I don't think people will listen.
I think
Jalen should be higher. But you can make the argument, as people did, that the other guys should be higher. You can certainly make the argument. I'm one on the case that Matthew Stafford in Detroit was certainly better. Matthew Stafford now, I don't think he is better, to be honest. He's one of the ones I would put Jalen over. So you can make arguments both ways. That part of it is incorrect.
Harris checks in again. Member for 11 months. Thank you, brother, for that's pretty dope. 11 months. We had a lot of 11-month members because this was the time last year when we started the Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway, so everybody became a member. So if you're thinking about re-upping, we are doing the giveaways again this year. We got tons of stuff.
I think it's going to be a Jalen Hurts giveaway. So get ready.
I'm going to have to do Saquon too. I feel like everybody wants a Saquon jersey.
Again?
Well, I'll do it a little different, and that's not going to be our main thing like we had last year. But last year I gave away so many jerseys outside of our Saquon giveaway, so I'm still going to give away a bunch of Saquon jerseys. We'll get some Jalen Carters this year. Jalen Hurts's. Who else is it? Would be a great AJ Browns. I'd like to give away more AJ Browns this year. We're going to give away. I'm trying to give away 50 plus jerseys at least. I think that might be low. 50 plus jerseys for the season. So get your memberships in, and I appreciate all of you who are members.
How about a Ty Robinson jersey?
I like that. I could go a Ty Robinson jersey.
Wait until the 53-man roster. Some guys might change their numbers, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. Terrence Bond checking in. What's up, Terrence? He says, Jalen don't care about ranking, and neither do I. Everybody got different opinions and bias. I just glad we got a winning culture with Jalen. Well, that's a pretty good take.
Yeah, that's how you should be.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about rankings.
Jalen's hanging out with Michael Jordan right now. Are you kidding me?
He's in Greece. He doesn't give a shit about rankings.
In Greece with the GOAT. Are you kidding me? Jalen is not thinking about this. I don't think, at least. Maybe he sees it, but I don't think he cares.
No, I'm sure he sees it, but yeah, I don't think he cares that much.
Oh, he sees it for sure. I forget who it was that it was Peyton Manning. Did you see Peyton Manning said this one time? Recently, there's something this offseason. He said, I think back either before last year or something, he did his top 5 quarterbacks, and Jalen wasn't on the top 5. And like 10 minutes after it got released.
Well, they're very close. I mean,
yeah, I know they're very close. Yeah. I'm just saying that, if Jalen does see some of the stuff that's said, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but Peyton, I mean, he loves Peyton, so
yeah,
I mean,
but still, Peyton, it still gets pushed out in the same way a lot of the other things get pushed out,
Yeah, but I'm saying is like
Peyton, hey, who's your top 5?
I'm sure when Chris Sims is doing his rankings, he's not texting him 10 minutes.
No, he's not, but he might see it.
You might see it, but I'm just saying he and Peyton are very close.
Yeah,
they have been for.
So he chirped at Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that was just chirping.
Terrence, thanks for the super chat, brother. B. Preston checking in. What's up, Preston? Preston, I'm pretty sure it was you who commented the other day for me. You were subscribed to both this channel and my car channel. So thank you so much, brother. I appreciate your support and reaching out. He says, that goes both ways, J-Mac. What if Puka didn't catch that pass on Slay? We aren't even talking about Cardle. That's true. I don't love the coulda, woulda, shoulda game.
I didn't say it. Yeah, but when did I say it went both ways?
Well, granted, no, but we
granted, it's a Jody Mack hypothetical. I'm just saying it changes everything. It changes the viewpoint of these very fans arguing so vociferously. The egregious fans would be shitting on Jalen Hurts as we speak today. Shitting because of the game he played against the Los Angeles Rams. That's the reality. Could 170 different things happen? Sure. Jalen Carter could have not punched the football away from the running back. There's a bunch of things that could have happened differently. And there's a bunch of games in the NFL that happen every week, that help and hurt. If you go all the way back to the start of the season, the Eagles rarely lost. You can go back and say, well, if Saquon catches the football against Atlanta, that's a win. Or you can also go back to New Orleans and say, if they didn't play Keystone Cops and run into each other, the Eagles lose that game, and Dallas Goedert doesn't have that 60-yard reception or whatever to steal the game. It can happen all the time. My only point is you would all be shitting on the quarterback you are so vociferously defending for the game he played against the Los Angeles Rams. That's it. Obviously, could have went the Rams' way. Should have went the Eagles' way. Did go the Eagles' way, ultimately. Yeah, that's baked in. Why is that so hard to understand? The point is they were that close to this entire offseason being completely different. We barely mentioned the words Jalen Hurts this offseason.
And when we did, we got shit on.
The entire offseason about what's wrong with the quarterback. What happened with the quarterback? The entire offseason. Because, to my original point, it wasn't his best season. Just because he won the Super Bowl. Because he didn't win the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl with his teammates. That's it. Common sense.
Reminds me of Dominic Dabney says this. He says, well, it didn't happen, so I guess we'll never know. Reminds me, you ever seen that clip of, I think it was Kanye West, who's like who won an award, and they're like, many asked me what I would do if I didn't win. He says, Well, I guess we'll never know. That's what it reminded. That's
Hey,
what that comment reminded me of.
I realize nobody's going to win. You know, people love to be right, blah, blah, blah. They're never going to admit it. Yeah. When you're looking in the mirror, getting ready, you know it. You'd be fired up if you're an Eagles fan, if they lost that game. You know it. You don't have to admit it. You're never going to admit it, but you know it deep down. You would have been incensed if they lost that game. I've been around Philadelphia for a while. You guys get incensed when they lose games. Can't pull the wool over my eyes. You can lie to yourself. I'm not the one screaming at Nick Sirianni, run the football, you stupid idiot.
Well, Nick, when Nick engages with the fans, John,
well, Nick shouldn't engage with the fans. I'm the voice of reasons. I'm the one who said, yeah, Nick's a pretty good coach. Yeah, you shouldn't fire him. Yeah. So, I mean, you're lying to yourselves. I've seen it. This ain't a nice place when the Philadelphia Eagles lose. And they haven't lost much. So
no, they haven't.
Now the expectations are raised. So when they do lose, because I don't think they're going 17-0. Oh, the shitstorm's coming out.
What'd you have them? 11 wins this year?
Yeah. 11 going up to 12, though, in our Jody Mack inspired, if you had to go up or down.
I love that. That is a good thing that Jody Mack introduced here. Dirty Air checking in. What's up, Dirty Air? He says, one day the league will learn to stop giving Jalen all this bulletin board material. Agreed, Dirty Air.
Yeah. Can I?
John, you've been going off all morning. The floor is yours. Go again, my friend.
There's no bulletin board. There's nothing penciled up. Now, if people can use the egregious disrespect, feel free.
That's the word of the show.
Feel free to use it. If it works for you, it works for you. Use anything that works for you. I always say. Nobody's got an actual bulletin board sticking up at you. Hey, you know what John McMullen said? You know what Dan Orlovsky said? You know what some unnamed executive said?
It does still. I think people, I mean, look, everybody in life in a way wants some form of validation. In the arena that Jalen Hurts exists in, the desire for him to want the respect would be normal of any human being. So when people, and again, you always say this, John, you always say people in the know don't think of it like that. And I agree with you for that. But the majority of conversation is dominated by fans, by aggregators, and by the people who talk about the sport day in and day out. When fans go online and talk about their football team all day, which they all love to do, that's why they're in our chat every single day, they're conversing with other fans. You know what I mean? So their mindset isn't, oh, I talked to the GMs and they don't disrespect Jalen Hurts. It's more driven by all the other stuff.
I get that, but that's why I always say I try to elevate the conversation. I'm not going to play into that because that's not real. I guarantee you, maybe Jalen does care about what Peyton Manning says. Maybe Jalen does care about this particular list. He'll hide it if he does. But I guarantee he doesn't care about Chris Sims' list or any list, our top 25 list. I guarantee he doesn't care about that. But if you use it, hey, Super Bowl 52, I always say the Eagles used that underdog theme to win, and everybody embraced it. And I'm like, boy, that was a load of bullshit. I've said that for years. We all knew how good that team was. That was about the quarterback getting hurt at the worst possible time. And yeah, at that point, there was doubt on Nick Bowles. No question about it. But that team, everybody knew that team was great by that point. Nobody, they would have been, and again, they were literal underdogs. So Doug used it and it worked. And I always say Godspeed to them, but it was bullshit. I mean, they would have been significant favorites over Atlanta. They would have been significant favors favorites over Minnesota with Carson Wentz playing quarterback that year, they probably would have been underdogs, legit underdogs in the Super Bowl because it was the Patriots. Not probably. They would have been underdogs. But that whole narrative was essentially built on a foundation of bullshit. But it worked. If it works, if you're a motivator,
Right.
if bullshit works, use bullshit.
Yeah.
So whatever works, works. And individually, if he wants to take that as disrespect, like, I always go back to my.
Well, he does though. Hasn't he proven that he does? Because like, remember the Pittsburgh game? He comes out and throws the ball, and he's like, "Is that what y'all wanted to see?" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
he
that's
does.
what I'm saying. I brought it up earlier in the week. Our little back and forth about his deep ball. I bring that up all the time because he said they said I can't, and I'm like, who's they? Because everybody I see, and again, I saw it this week in this very story about how good he is on the deep ball. And I'm like, everybody I talk to says, man, he's got a nice deep ball.
But
and I'm like,
majority, as I mentioned, I think the majority of the conversation is driven by the people who aren't in the know that you're talking about. Fans, people on social media.
That's what I'm saying. So
aggregators on TV, and that's probably where Jalen got that from.
Yeah, and if he used it and it works, great. But yeah, from my perspective, I'm not going to lie to you and say people in the league don't think he could throw the deep ball because that's just nonsense. To the point I had to ask him, who's they? Everybody, basically everybody I talk to says you got an unbelievable deep ball, which is why I asked the question. Yeah,
you and Jalen have had some good back and forth.
Yeah, we like each other, believe it or not.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see the mutual respect between J-Mac and Jalen.
I'm not, we're not. I'm just saying.
He's not inviting you over for the 4th of July.
I think there's a mutual respect between him and certain people, and I think I'm in the category where there's a mutual respect.
Well done. Carlos Morris checking in again. What's up, Carlos? Johnny Mac ripped you on the last take. Let's hope you bounce back here. Jalen, Super Bowl MVP and All-Pro Herbert, Burrow, nothing.
Burrow, nothing. I mean, look, if you want to, I get it. If you want to be a fan, it's just troll. I mean, if you're disputing Joe Burrow's great, like, again, watch your own team's respect for Joe Burrow. Go watch Quarterback on Netflix. Watch your own team's respect for Joe Burrow. Or continue to be not elevating. I'll be nice. The conversation.
Jason A-Team checking in. What's up, A-Team? Member for 12 months. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. It's a full year of membership here on JAKIB Sports. Thank you. He says, just happy to be here, fellas. Work's been crazy. I'm showing appreciation. Excited for training camp. I still think Sidney Brown will start over Makuba. Wow.
Well, that's something we should talk about because training camps have opened. Not many, but the Chargers were the first to get in. Eagles, most teams will be in next week. I think all teams will be in next week. And 30 of the 32 second-round picks are still unsigned because they're trying to get the fully guaranteed money deep down as possible. And Makuba's 64th. Anytime he may miss, now ultimately long-term it's not going to matter, but anytime he might miss from training camp, it becomes more likely that Sidney Brown is the week 1 starter. We've already seen Bick's mentality with this. If you're not practicing, you're not playing. And we saw it with a great player, legitimately great rookie, great player, Cooper DeJean, missed 20 days. And 20 days turned into 6 weeks in the regular season before he felt comfortable. And think about who Cooper DeJean
exactly.
is.
The guy with supreme talent.
So not only supreme talent, high football IQ, everything. And it took him 6 weeks. So, and I still think Makuba will be in because 64th is not, the guaranteed money isn't going down that far. And ultimately, I think he knows he's got a chance to play. At least if he's got a good agent, he's got a chance to play. But for him to win that job, he's got to be in and he's got to be practicing. And if he isn't in, even if it's for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days a week, whatever it is, Sidney Brown's got to take advantage of that and play well. And if he does, it's going to kick back the Makuba's ability to get on the field early.
18, thank you for the chat, brother. Good conversation there. We'll tap back into the Makuba conversation at some point here in this during this week before we get to camp. Rashid Mixon checking in. Thank you, everybody. By the way, a lot of super chats today. We appreciate all of you guys for supporting the show here in the middle of July. So some of these guys are our P1s. You guys are our best supporters. So we appreciate all of you guys for being here, man. It means a lot to me and John. So hit the like button. You guys have kept us on the air for almost 5 years now. So thank you very much. Rashid says, right now, the Eagles. He was answering to your question of who you would take. Back when Herbert had Allen, Mike, Eckler, Everett on offense, Bosa, Mack, James, Tranquil, Joseph Day, and so much more on D. I was going to say they did have a lot of players over there, John.
So you're taking the Chargers roster over. You're taking the Chargers roster over the Eagles 22 roster. Is that what we're saying? They basically have the same, what was Herbert here? They basically came in and around the same time.
22 is the other year that he made the playoffs, right? Yeah. So 22 would have been the year that I think Rashid's talking about.
The Eagles have been top of the league roster wise for a pretty extended period of time. Obviously they fell apart in Jalen's rookie season. That was Doug's early season. That was Doug's last season, the COVID season where everything kind of went off the rails. But I think a lot of people, Nick talks about this, and Nick talks about it all the time, how lucky he was to come in the team with this offensive line. There were a lot of offensive line injuries in 2020. So I think a lot of people looked at the Eagles and said, well, they're a 4-win team. They suck. They didn't suck.
No, but you told me that. I mean, when we talked about this, you shifted it to Eagles or Chargers. I don't think the Eagles or the Chargers were better than the Eagles, but he did have a damn good roster. I don't think there's any room for him to make excuses.
Well, first of all, I've never heard Justin Herbert make an excuse.
No, well, people making him for him.
I think people are conflating the fact that his lack of playoff success, because they want to twist. It's a pretzel. They want to twist their argument to, well, he's the same as Jalen Hurts.
He's had 2 really ugly playoff games. Remember, these are his 2 playoff games. The one with 4 picks, which whatever, I don't know what. And then the other one was when Trevor Lawrence threw 4 picks and then came back and won the game. Those were the 2 playoff games that Herbert were a part of. They were pretty memorable playoff games.
Sometimes, again, I've already had this conversation in this show. I don't know how many times I have to say it. If you're gauging if you're gauging a player off one game, you're probably going to get it wrong. Positively or negatively. Again, why are you not grading down? Why you're not downgrading Patrick Mahomes? It's one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's fair. Real Zeal chat. I'm going to keep moving here because I'm going to finish out our top 25. We got to talk training camp. We got bogged down by the Jalen Hurts at number 9 today. Real Zeal, final super chat, I believe. Yes, final super chat. Thank you, everybody. Real Zeal says, blowing a 13-point lead with 4:30 left is totally on the QB. No one would question Fangio or Nick.
Sorry, I chuckled. Blowing a 13-point lead and no one would question the head coach or the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, well, who blew the 13-point lead? Was it Herbert?
Yeah. That's
I'm assuming that's the
you blow a 13-point lead and that you think the head coach in any NFL city isn't getting questioned. You don't think the defensive coordinator in any NFL city. I do this for a living, dude. That's all we talk about is the head coach. And if you blow a 13-point, now the quarterback will take heat too. The quarterback takes immense heat, and deservedly so. You got to be kidding me. Nobody.
I think he's being sarcastic. He says the Rams game, and you are missing my sarcasm.
Well, yeah. I'm definitely missing the sarcasm, because any blown lead is the head coach is taking shit. Any head coach, any city, 4-win team, 5-win team. So if you're being sarcastic, I apologize. It's tough to read sarcasm through text, but yeah, I mean, any head coach is getting a million questions about that blown lead, whether it's his fault or not. And often the players are playing. It's always the player's fault. If you go back to Super Bowl 57, it's the player's fault, not Jonathan Gannon. How many times do I have to explain that over the years? They blew the coverages that they handled beautifully all year.
Yeah, right.
And they blew coverages at the most high leverage moments.
They certainly did not last year. All right, everybody. Great segment there. Long segment to start the show on the Jalen Hurts disrespect, Johnny Mac.
Disrespect. Egregious.
Egregious disrespect is the theme of today's show.
If you're tuning in from Greece, because YouTube is international, I have tremendous respect for you.
I think Jalen's tuning in right now. I don't know. Maybe he's getting some bulletin board material.
One
more super. East Coast Rico says, who do y'all want to see have a Pro Bowl season? Mailata. How about we get Mailata to the Pro Bowl? The guy's the best tackle in football.
Well, he already has a Pro Bowl season.
I know. I'm just saying, I want to see him earn it.
Yeah. I mean, I literally don't care, but I would say anybody who hasn't made it, Jordan would be that. Yeah.
Cooper.
I mean, I
want to see Cooper. Well, I think importance for the team would be Nolan, Cooper, Bond, probably.
Anybody who hasn't made it.
Bond needs to be dominant again, John. He really does.
Well, I don't know if he can be as dominant as he was.
I'm not asking.
He's just got to play at a high level. He's just got to play at a high level.
Yes. I mean, part of the evaluation of the guys we lost was, hey, we're going with Zach Bond, and he's going to hold down, the middle of the field.
Yeah, he's got
middle of the defense.
We probably don't. He's got unrealistic expectations on him. But that's what happens when you play like he did last year. Just look at the career of Fred Warner. He's been consistently, the top inside linebacker in football for 4 or 5 years. You have up years, you have down years, but there's consistent football behind it. And I'm talking up years, down years from splash play perspective. He's got to become Fred Warner. That means there's going to be some better years, some down years from a splash play perspective, but that sometimes that's out of your control.
No doubt about it. Chris AM gives another 10 memberships, man. Thank you so much. That's 20 gifted memberships today for the great people of JAKIB Nation. Drop the emojis in the chat. Now you have access to them. Put the J-Mac face in there every time J-Mac says something that pisses you off or whether you love it. So appreciate Chris AM. Thank you, man. It's a lot of support on the channel, and we appreciate you, bro, for being here and for showing love on the show. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great day.
Why would I piss anybody off with logic?
What do you mean, John? People get pissed off at anything.
That's true. That's true.
Doesn't take much to piss people off. All right, everybody. Appreciate for being here. Let's get to our first commercial break. When we come back, John, we got to wrap up this top 25 list. We've been doing it at the beginning of the shows. And
I'm going to piss more people off. Well,
oh, good. So get your J-Mac emojis ready and drop them in the chat when he pisses people off. Yesterday we had Jalen Carter at 4, Hurts is at 5, and then we have 3, 2, and 1 to go with only 3 names to play. We'll see how they fall. I appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button. Let's get to at least 100 likes during the live show today. I don't know what we're up to right now. 49 likes. Come on. Let's get that up to 100. I'd like to get to 150, but we're far out. I don't want to be too greedy. Let's get to 100 likes. We'll be right back here in 3 minutes on Birds 365.